Moore to be in any kind of danger or George to be in any kind of danger that night. As it turned out, Moore was in danger of losing the heavyweight championship to a 45-year-old man who had figured out how he could do that.
Wow. And didn't you say George told you that exactly how it was going to go?
More than once. More than once. We were working together. We were expert. He was my expert commentator. I was the blow-by-blow guy. And in the weeks leading up to the Moore fight, several times, maybe 3, maybe 4, I would pull him aside from crew meals, fighter meetings, things of that nature where we were together, and ask him, George, how are you going to beat Michael Moore? He's a southpaw. He's a mover. He has great feet. Holyfield couldn't find him, and Holyfield's feet are better than yours. What's the plan? And every time I asked him, George would give me that blank, implacable George Foreman expression and say, you watch. There will come a moment late in the fight, he will come and stand in front of me and let me knock him out. Always the same words. He will come and stand in front of me and let me knock him out. Now go back to YouTube. Go back and look at the 10th round of Foreman Moore. Tell me that there's a better way to describe exactly what happened than that Moore came and stood in front of him and let George knock him out. And, for that to happen the way it happened, and I'm, as the count is mounting toward 10, I'm reaching for something to say in my mind, and that became, it happened because of what George had told me. It's really me talking to George, but it just goes to show you how much he understood about boxing, how clued in George really was as to what goes on in the ring and how you can manage it to your own advantage. He was great.
Do you think his movie, it did him justice?
Haven't seen the movie.
Oh, really?
No, I've not seen the George Foreman movie. I'll have to go look at it. Yeah.
No.
It's hard to do justice to a truly cosmic personality. And he is a truly cosmic personality. He's one of a kind, and so it's hard to do justice to that in any one enclosure, whether it's a movie or a book or whatever. He's too many things to too many different people, and I miss him. He died 2 weeks before the publication of my book. The prologue, the first thing you read in the book, is about the 19-year-old me watching the 19-year-old George win his gold medal in Mexico City. The title, It Happened, comes from my call of his win over Michael Moore. There are various other ways in which he is central to the book and all over. He used to call me young man. All the time we were working together at HBO, he called me young man this, young man that. And I would pull him aside and say, George, you're born January 12, 1949. I'm born April 8, 1949. We're fewer than 3 months apart.
Right.
You always call me young man. And he would say, well, because you're such a young man. So I gave up. Even though we were the same age, I was going to be young man to him. It's been a while since he died, but I'm not over it. I still think about it every day.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Because it was so subtle. It wasn't something that someone's health is declining or, you have prior knowledge of someone has an illness. But no, it's just,
not that we know. Happened. There was no warning whatsoever. I woke up and read that he had died, called the family and said, what was that? And all I was told was he just stopped breathing. So maybe he had a stroke of some sort. I don't know, but they've been pretty tight-lipped about it.
Right. Well, yeah, that's very unfortunate because I was actually on live and found out about it, and someone hit me in the trenches, which I call the live commentary, and like, hey, you hear about George Foreman? I'm like, no, what happened to George Foreman? And growing up, because I was a teenager, a young adult in the 90s, so when George, the audience was always either Jim Lampley, George Foreman, Larry Merchant, Jim Lampley, Roy Jones Jr., Larry Merchant, Emmanuel Stewart, Jim Lampley, George Foreman, or Larry Merchant. So it was always the audience that, my father laughed so hard when the fight was Lennox Lewis versus David Tua.
What a fight.
and you said, because we were all watching that fight, and the commentary is what builds the narration. It's the story of the fight. It's just the story of the fight. And when you said that Lennox Lewis is making David Tua's face look like an utter bloody mass, my dad hit the roof. It was hilarious, because
it didn't sound all that poetic, but I guess I got it across.
Yeah, I mean that fight actually it hurt my feelings because I was a big David Tua fan. Lennox Lewis not so much, but David Tua was that guy that was. Would you call Tua versus Ibeabuchi the best heavyweight fight you ever saw? Yes, the best non-title heavyweight fight.
Best heavyweight fight I ever saw. Tua Ibeabuchi. Yeah. Anybody who's watching now and hasn't seen it, I recommend you go to YouTube and get Tua versus Ibeabuchi. I believe they broke the record both for most punches thrown and most punches landed in that fight.
Yeah. That was a classic fight. And you know what a lot of people don't know about Ibeabuchi, now that we are more educated in CTE and things of like that, supposedly, I don't know if it's true or not, but they're linking the David Tua fight, the clash he had with David Tua and Ike Ibeabuchi. They're linking the Ike Ibeabuchi damage which he took in the Tua fight because they took so many shots.
Wouldn't shock me. And he stood right in. David stood right in front of Ike and took those shots because David was convinced that his chin was impregnable. Nothing could hurt him.
Right.
So, and then he landed his own shots on Ibeabuchi too. And of course, Ibeabuchi was crazy to begin with. Ibeabuchi was the one who didn't train before the Chris Bird fight because he thought there were evil spirits in the air ducts of Curtis Coates.
Wow. Yeah. He was very particular when it came to those type of convictions.
Cedric Kushner was manager, promoter. And Kushner called Ibeabuchi's mother and said, why isn't Ike going to training in the gym with Curtis Coates? And Ibeabuchi's mother said, because Ike says there are evil spirits in the air conditioning ducts. And he doesn't want to train in a gym that has evil spirits in the air conditioning ducts. Wow. And Cedric, in his South African accent, said, well, Mrs. Ibeabuchi, tell him to turn off the air conditioner.
Right. That's a good idea.
Seems simple enough to Cedric, but, Ike saw it a different way.
It stopped the flow of the spirits. Easy. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, guys, I've got another date here coming up. Have you guys enough Jim Lampley, or do you want more?
Well, you know what? We will reconvene later on. It's,
okay.
We'll have
I'm happy to come back on at some point. Absolutely. You got my numbers and my contacts, right?
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
It was a pleasure to spend this time with you, going down memory lane, past, present, and future, and we look forward to it on the next one.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Yes, Mr. Salamatino, Bud wants to hurt people, so he puts himself in danger. He's got a pretty good chin. We'll see. It's a mystery fight. You have to favor Canelo because of the size factor. Yeah. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Lampley. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Okay, and that was the legendary Jim Lampley. Learned a lot, heard a lot. Good stuff. Thank you, Mr. Roos, for the interview. And no, really good guy, man. It's crazy to finally talk to him, speak to him. We got to do it again. We definitely got to do it again. Yeah, absolutely. So, but guys, yeah. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for being respectful and paying attention and all that good stuff. I enjoyed it. I'm about to jump off of here because I got things to do as well. But we will reconvene when Mr. Roos contacts Mr. Jim Lampley, the legendary HBO commentary for HBO boxing in the place to be. But until then, guys, everyone's been counterpunched. Have a great day. More videos to come, as you know, because I don't stop counterpunching, and neither does Jay Roos with his theories. So we will reconvene. Until then, everyone has been counterpunched. Peace!